Hello everyone, this is Terry with Futures.io, and as always, I would like to thank you for joining us today. It's my pleasure to welcome back Jeremy Tang and Zach White from SharkIndicators for today's webinar, 15-minute automated bot setup. Throughout the webinar, if you have a question, please feel free to type them into the questions box, and Zach and Jeremy will answer them throughout the event. This webinar will be recorded and posted on the Futures.io website within 24 to 48 hours. If you're watching this afterwards on YouTube, please do us a favor and give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed the webinar. And as always, please feel free to share, comment, and subscribe to our channel. It really helps us a lot. For sharing news, events, and information, follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter using Futures.io. And now, without further delay, I'll hand it over to Jeremy. You'll get the pop-up to share your screen again.
Right.
All right, looking good. She's all yours.
Okay, great. My name is Jeremy Tang. I'm one of the co-founders of SharkIndicators, and thanks for that wonderful introduction, Terry. And it's always great to be hosted by Futures.io. With me, I've got Zach White as well, also co-founder. How are you doing, Zach?
Hey, Jeremy, good. Man, it's amazing how many people are in here. Just looking at the attendees list. Well, thanks for joining us, guys.
All right, so today's topic is 15-minute abs.
Wait a minute. Are you sure we're in the right webinar there, Jeremy? I haven't done any sit-ups in a long time. Feels like a hernia coming on.
Oh, well, wait, hang on a sec. Did I get this right? I think I might be in the wrong. Oh my God. I am sorry, guys. I thought this was actually a fitness related webinar. I basically had everything prepared for.
That's Jeremy's side hobby there. Sorry, guys. Hey, there we go. That's the kind of workout I can do.
Just kidding, guys. Abs is just a little catchphrase that we came up with at the last minute. But basically, today's topic is actually going to be about bots, not fitness, thankfully. But before we kind of get into that, I do want to sort of address a little bit of the elephant in the room when it comes to sort of automated trading. Isn't that right, Zach?
Yeah, nobody likes these black box board ships here. So, yeah, everybody's kind of scared of them, and I don't blame them.
Yeah, the one thing about bots is sort of brings up this preconceived notions of something that's black box, as Zach mentioned, and that's because a lot of products may be on the shelf that advertise that they're automated trading is really what you're buying is kind of a black box, and so therefore there's a bit of a negative connotation to automated trading in general, and we certainly don't blame you, because kind of who wants to really trust an automated trade robot that you have no knowledge of exactly what's going on beneath the hood? It's especially when it comes to trading your real money, that's a real concern. So I'm just going to pivot just very slightly, and I'm going to talk a little bit about, because we're going to build a bot today, and as the title sort of suggests, we're going to do it pretty quickly in 15 minutes. Don't hold us to the exact time, but we're going to cheat a little bit, because we're not going to code one up from scratch. I mean, that would just simply take way too long. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to use our software, the software that we provide to customers. And I just want to comment very quickly on why we're doing this, and why we don't necessarily condone, just because we're showing you how to build an automated trading bot, why we don't necessarily condone full automated trading. This is really, again, just a demonstration, an educational demonstration. And if you wanted to do this, this is how you could set one up and have full control, unlike a black box, like full control under what's going on under the hood. And so just to clarify, our software actually kind of does, even though it has the capability of creating a fully traded automated bot, if you will, that's actually not the main, probably the most popular use of our software, is it, Zach? How many would you say would actually use our software, say for discretionary purposes?
Yeah, definitely the vast majority are using it for discretionary. Even the in the middle there, the semi-auto, you know, which is basically partially discretionary. You know, I think a lot of people realize that the one thing that an indicator can't do is integrate that human element. You know, so while it'd be great to have a full auto trader and just turn it on and, you know, go make your coffee and come back and bingo, you made your money for the day. But, you know, I think a lot of people realize that having that human element, integrating that human element, you know, is probably the better way to go. So it's definitely the vast majority is discretionary and semi-auto with discretion as well. So.
Yeah, so in a way, I think the best way to sort of describe what we can do with our software and what you're going to see today is, yeah, we are going to show you how to build a full bot from scratch. However, our software is more like the autopilot, say, in a jet airliner, where if you think about it, these sophisticated autopilots can actually completely fly the plane from takeoff all the way to landing without any or very little human intervention. And while the software, like an autopilot, has that full capability, it's seldom actually used that way in terms of it's used for trading entirely automated. And the same goes for most pilots when they're flying these airplanes, is they're not actually taking off and landing completely in an automated sense. So the hope is that we can show you what's capable, what the capabilities are, and then you can dial it back and sort of take aspects of it to enhance your trading, using aspects of it to automate parts of your trading rather than to simply automate it fully. However, if you want to automate it fully, you certainly have that power to do so. And to do this, we're going to use Bloodhound and Blackboard. It looks sort of like this, where you can, it's a graphical interface. You don't have to actually use code to do it. And of course, this is going to be an advantage to us during this presentation because we can actually implement it in a reasonable amount of time and show you starting from scratch how you set something up like that. So in order to give you an example, Zach did some digging around the internet to find sort of just a sample system that we can use to sort of base our little lesson on. This is by no means we're sort of condoning this particular system or the benefits or whatever the performance of the system. We're just simply using the system as an example. Of course, you can use any sort of system rules you'd like to use, but this particular system is a very basic reversion to the mean system, and it uses the ADX and it uses the Bollinger Band. The ADX, if you're familiar with it, is a non-directional indicator that basically just looks for areas of consolidation. The lower that ADX is, sort of the lower the, if you will, the trending of the market. And so this system looks for those situations where we're in a consolidation state. And we've just set an arbitrary threshold of about 25, and we're looking for a downward slope, meaning it's continuing to consolidate. And then we're going to, once we've kind of found those conditions, we're going to look for an entry by studying the Bollinger Band. Anytime that we're near the top of the Bollinger Band, we're going to be looking to enter on a short trade, and vice versa on a long trade. So let's just crack right into it. And let me just switch my screen over. All right, so I've got Bloodhound up on this monitor here, and I'm just going to open it up. As you can see, I've got the NinjaTrader chart, and I've got it decorated with the Bollinger Band here. This is the upper band, lower band, and this is the ADX down here. And I've got kind of this dotted line, which is going to be our 25 threshold. Let me just quickly glance at the chart. You can see anytime we're sort of in a non-trending phase here, right? So this is a nice trend over here. You see the ADX reacted by saying it's trending, and then it's just slowly started to decrease as it starts to figure out that we're now consolidating. And we can see up at the chart, it just kind of went through this area of consolidation. Okay, so let's go for the first step. Again, that was to see if the ADX was below 25, and Bloodhound's a great tool to do that. We can just go ahead and actually look for those areas on the ADX where it's below 25. And to do that, I'm just going to pop in this little node. We call it a solver. and I'm just going to arbitrarily name this solver an ADX below 25, just so we have for our own reference here. Okay, so what I'm going to do with this solver is I'm going to direct it to the ADX, and I'm just simply going to compare it to the a fixed value, the 25 line, and you'll see kind of immediately what our system does, or Bloodhound does by default, is it sort of reads it as, well, if you're above 25, you want a long trade. That's what the green markings are. And if you're below 25, it's biasing your system to a short trade. That's not exactly what we're looking for, because again, as I mentioned, the ADX is a non-directional indicator. And so what we really want to do is, when it goes below this 25 line, we actually want to bias your system so that, sorry, we don't want to bias to the direction of the system yet, but we want to give permission for this system to eventually trade in either direction based off something else, that something else being the Bollinger Band. So I'm just going to finagle the outputs a little bit here. And once I've done that, you can see the chart really quickly updates. This is something, so again, I did mention we're sort of cheating here. We're not coding this up, but we can actually make some changes and see them in real time as we mark our chart up really quickly. And now we can see all the instances in the chart where we're below the 25 threshold. And these green and red bars just basically tells us, yeah, we're going to give the system eventually a permission to go in either direction. We haven't picked a direction yet. Okay, the next piece of that was to look at the slope of the ADX. And we got a little bit of a slope analyzer here called the slope solver. Same idea, I'm going to plug in the ADX to this. And what I'm going to do is just quickly look at the chart here. And as you can see, anytime, by default, the slope solver does kind of the same thing. It seems that you're kind of working with a directional type indicator, which in this case we're not, but you can see anytime we're going kind of down, sloping down on the ADX, then it's looking for a short bias. And anytime it's sloping up, we're looking for a long, it defaults to a long bias, but again, that's not what we want. We will actually want it anytime that's going sloping down. We want a permission to trade sort of in either direction. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly shut off the long side. I'm just simply going to copy the short side over to the long side with a little doohickey here. We call a modifier, and I'm going to plug that into the result node, and quickly we can see that we've got the desired effect here. So what you're seeing is just that second criteria plugged into the result node. And now I'm going to take my first criteria, which is the ADX below 25, and this new slope criteria, and I'm going to slam them together in a condition which will ask Bloodhound to show us situations in the chart where both are actually true at the same time. And so as you can see, first of all the signals, all the markings or slash signals on the chart are now gone whenever we're above that 25 line. And we're also looking at all the situations where that happens and we're sloping downwards. And so just a quick visual inspection, and it looks like the ADX and Bloodhound are synced properly. All right, so the final piece, which gives us the actual signals, is going to be looking at the Bollinger Band. And I'll just pick a spot here. So anytime that we're kind of above, we're at the top band up here, we're going to be looking to trade a short. So we're going for a reversion to the mean. And anytime we're at this bottom band, we're going to look for a trade to going long. Again, reverting back to the mean. Okay, so it's like the idea is like consolidating and hitting one of the bands, and there's probably going to be a bounce in some direction, and we're gonna try to see what this looks like when that direction happens to be towards the opposite band. Okay, so to do that, let's just do a quick comparison between the price and the Bollinger Band. So I'm going to take the price, On the long side, we're concerned with the low bar. And on the short side, we're concerned with the high bar. And I'm just going to fiddle these parameters a bit so that we get a nice reasonable distance. And again, we are looking at the Bollinger Band. Long side, lower band, short side, upper band. Okay, and just bear with me while I just finagle the outputs again. So one. And again, as you can see, as I'm going through this demo and marking the chart up, it's pretty much instantaneous how Bloodhound is recalculating, and we can see a lot of action here. Right, this seems to be a very trendy, choppy market. Let's scroll back a little bit. I apologize if I'm moving really quick, but so there's a lot of signals here. Just on the Bollinger Band, I should add, not with the other two criteria. But as you can see, for example, on this bar, we have just pierced, or we're flirting at the top of the Bollinger Band again, and the Bloodhound is fired off a short signal. Same with this one here. That tail end there is just about touching that band as well. And on the flip side, anytime it's going near that bottom band, we're actually going to mark those up with green. So I'm going to slam all three conditions together, and as you can see, that immediately took away quite a few of those other directional trades. And as you can see, all the ones that were not situations where the ADX is below 25 and sloping down are now eliminated. And we have some signals to play with. Right. So this is half the equation. So obviously, those of you that have been around the block a few times realize pretty quickly that, so what if you got a couple trade signals? That's only going to get you halfway there. Trading those actual signals is the other half of the problem. I would argue probably more than just half. It is in a lot of cases of really good discretionary traders. That's actually probably the more important aspect of being successful is being able to successfully trade that. So we have an answer for that as well. But first, I'm going to save this guy to a file, and Zach's going to take these signals and plug it into our other second half, if you will, of our product line called Blackboard. And he's going to show you how we can take those signals and actually perform real automated trades with it.
All right, thanks, Jeremy and gentlemen. Give me just a moment. All right, everything should be switched over now to my screen. Yeah, looks good there. Cool. All right. So, yeah, just to kind of recap here, as Jeremy had mentioned, he did part one of setting up an automated bot, and which is finding a system or coming up with an idea, coming up with your own idea, right? And then coding it up. But as Jeremy showed you, we didn't code anything up, but basically creating the entry signals, right? Identifying which bars you should go long and go short on, right? So that's part one. And part two here, and actually let me kind of close it out. Part two is submitting the orders there, right? So I don't have the signals on my chart yet, but I will in a moment. But as you guys kind of seen from this system here, it's looking for consolidation. So on something like this, it might be, let's see here, yeah, looking to go short, up here, and then returning to the mean down here, right? So part two is the order management, placing the orders and taking the profits, or at least getting out, taking hopefully as small of a loss as possible, right? If it winds up being a bad trade. So setting up the stop loss there. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you how to set up the entry orders, the profit target, and the stop loss, but then also plugging in those signals that Jeremy just showed you there. Right? So yeah, this is Blackboard on my chart that you're seeing here, this interface here. And to set up Blackboard, we're going to go into the order settings, right? Because that's really what Blackboard does, is it manages the orders. So now to turn Blackboard into an auto trader, you need a trade signal source here, right? So we need some kind of signal source. So, Jeremy used Bloodhound just now. So I'm going to select Bloodhound. And then I'm going to load in that file that he just made there. So as you can see, it opened up Bloodhound again. And I can go to File, and there's that Futures IO 15-minute abs there. And there we go. Just loaded up the system. And let's take a look at the logic there. There we go. So I kind of cleaned things up, right? So what this logic really is it's defining the entry signals here. So I'm actually going to rename this here to entry signals. There we go. Just to add a little bit of clarity there. All right. So I'll click OK. And so so here we have the Bloodhound file loaded in, and next we need to select the entry signals here. And as I just renamed, there's my entry signals. Now something you might want to think about, if you're creating your own automated bot, are possible exit signals as well, right? So we don't actually have any exit signals demonstrated for this example, just not enough time. But so you might ask yourself, what is an exit signal? Well, an exit signal is, on some systems, you might be able to recognize that, that the trade, that the indicators, that there's other conditions on the chart where the trade just isn't working out, and you might want to bail on the trade instead of waiting for that stop loss to get hit. Just bail on the trade early. So that's what an exit signal can do, is it can flatten out that trade before, waiting for that ultimate stop loss to get hit. And so like one of those conditions, actually just thinking off the top of my head, right, we know that this system here uses the ADX sloping down. So if the ADX starts sloping up like this, maybe that would be a good exit signal, right? Because this is the system's supposed to be working with consolidation. And so if the ADX is sloping up, that means consolidation is expanding and might be going into a trend. So, that's just an example of, the ADX sloping up could be just a very simple condition that you might want to use as an exit signal, something like that. So, all right, but we're not going to use an exit signal today, just the entries, just to kind of, time is short here. So there's the trade signals plugged in. And so again, the trade signals is what makes Blackboard a full auto trader, right? And even if you're coding up your own strategy, right, obviously you need to code the logic that looks at all the various indicators and price action that generate the trade signal. And then after that, you then decide, when and where to place the orders. So for this system here, right, we want a limit order at either the upper band or the lower band. So we're going to choose a limit order and then go in here and go to the initial placement, right? Where are we going to place that limit order? And instead of it being at the closing price of the bar, we're actually going to use an indicator, right? The Bollinger indicator. So we'll switch that over, and there we go. I've already got the Bollinger selected here to save me some time. And so now we need to figure out what band is being used for what. So the upper band, we're using it for a short trade, and we're taking long trades off the lower band. So there we go. We got our plots selected there. And something else to consider, if you're coding up your own stuff, does your system need to front run with that entry order, or can you try and ink out an extra tick or two, so you can adjust your entry order, to the inside of the bands or to the outside of the bands, to either make sure that you get filled or to try and, strip out an extra tick or two of profit. So let's see here. Oh, something else. What happens if, here we go. Let's take a look at this bar right here. You can see that the wick almost came down and touched the band. So what happens if an order gets placed but it doesn't get picked up, right? So we can see that price came down, didn't quite touch the band, so that entry order may not have been filled, and then price returns to the mean, right? Well, at that point, it's too late. So you don't want to keep that limit order sitting out there forever, right? So we do want to cancel that entry order at some point. And so I'm going to just say, just something simple here. Let's just cancel that entry order after 2 bars there, something like that. There. All right. So there's the entry order. Next step is the profit target, right? So as mentioned, the profit target is the mean or the midline here. So I'm just going to go select the custom here. And again, we want to use an indicator value here, the Bollinger midline. And there we go. The Bollinger's already selected for me, just a little time-saving convenience there. And we have the middle band here, and that's what we want to use for the profit target, is the middle band, or actually midline. I'm not sure why they call that a band, but there. And again, you know, we could add a tick or 2 offset to try and, you know, grab an extra tick profit, or maybe just to get out early, you know, just to make sure that it doesn't turn into a loser. So you can add a tick offset again. So that's something else to consider there when you're setting up your own system. And then the next step here is, let's see here. Yeah, let's click OK. Let's take this for example. So let's say, right, you go short here, right? And so our profit target, let's see, what should I use? There it goes, square. So our profit target would be there, right? But we can see that actually the midline, right, basically price it doesn't return back to the mean until several bars later. And look at the difference between where the midline is, right? It's moved up a lot. So it seems reasonable that we should keep that profit target moving with the midline there, the middle line there. Keep that trailing with that middle line. So if middle line moves up, profit target moves up, right? Because as we can see, right, price does not quite get down to this midline here. So if we left the profit target there, that probably is not a good idea. You know, it doesn't look like this system is going to work that well if we don't, you know, if we keep that profit target at a static location.
Yeah. And I just want to point out, yeah, just the idea of being able to move your profit target around during the life of the trade and automate that is also, if you really think about it, it's a pretty powerful, a powerful idea and something that you can take advantage of. I hesitate to think if that's, you know, commonly used, but the point is the fact that it's available and you can actually trail it to kind of any indicator that you desire, kind of opens up a whole boatload of possibilities.
Yeah, I think Jeremy raises a good point. I don't think many traders consider moving their profit targets. You know, I guess if you're a pure price action trader, you know, then yeah, you probably are moving your profit targets based on what you're seeing price is doing. But for the most part, yeah, it seems like most traders just kind of set it and forget it. So definitely, yeah, consider moving your profit target when necessary. I mean, everybody considers moving their stop loss, right, to tighten up. So why not consider moving your profit target as well? So, all right, so what I'm doing is I'm setting up a trailing rule here that's going to move that profit target here. So it's just that profit target is going to follow the Bollinger Band there. All right. Okay, there we go. And here we go. The elusive question here is stop loss. You know, that's always the probably the toughest one to answer is, you know, what type of stop loss should you use? And that definitely just takes testing. It takes time, experimenting, you know, and testing. So, so what I kind of did is, you'll notice, right, I've got my horizontal grid lines here, and they're all spaced out at 10 tick increments on my chart here. I did that just so I could scan through the chart and kind of see, you know, what looked like the tightest stop loss I could get away with, you know, without getting a lot of stop losses hit, you know, before a successful trade. You know, so I just discretionarily just kind of scan through the chart, you know, and just to find a ballpark number to start with. You know, that's all I did. Just find some kind of starting point. You know, and so 10 ticks actually looked like a pretty good starting point, you know, to start testing various stop losses here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this 10 tick stop loss, but it also has a break even +1 built in and some trailing, right? And as we can see, right, these signals, well, yeah, we don't see the signals yet, but as Jeremy showed you, right, the signals show up when the bands really start to contract. So I doubt that the break even is ever going to get triggered, and I doubt the stop loss is ever going to trail, but I'm just going to use it anyways, just for good measure. You know, why not have that available, even though, you know, the system likes to trade in very tight, you know, consolidation here. But, you know, just as a backup, what the heck? You know, we'll use that break even and trailing there. So, all right, let's see here. So we have the orders all set up for us. And so some other things to consider, you know, when you're creating your own bot there, is obviously money management. I'm sure everybody considers money management there, you know, so maybe, you know, in some back testing, some just raw back testing, you know, you might discover that, you know, your system can only make so much money per day, you know, at its best. So maybe, you know, stop the system when it gets to 80% of that, you know, and there might be some, you know, if you data mine the backtest results, you know, you might find that that there's definitely a certain point at which if if the system loses so much money, then you should also cut the system off, right? So you can do that, you know. And then if you're a real mathematician there and you're really good with statistics, you know, you might even be able to figure out, you know, a max number of losing trades. So you might be able to sift through all that data and say, wow, you know, if the system, you know, loses, you know, 15 trades in a day, then that pretty much is a good indication that the system's done for. And just turn the system off, you know, if there's so many losing days like that, right? So, and here's a big one. So if you're making your own automated bot, right, you should have some kind of watermark feature built into the you know, P&L statistics of your system here. And so what is a watermark system? Well, basically it's kind of like a stop loss, but it's for the profits made for the day, right? It's the total, it's the net profits that have gone into your account that the system has made. So it's not a literal stop loss, but what it's doing and what a watermark does is it monitors the net profit that's been put into the account. And so if the system starts giving that money back, that you can set a cutoff limit. So for example, here's an easy example. So let's say, you know, you turn the watermark on, you know, at $500. So as soon as the system makes $500 of net profit, then the watermark turns on. And then if the system gives back 50%, so, you know, of profits lost. So if the system loses 50% of that net profit, then turn the system off, right? That way you can capture, you know, or at least hold on to some of those gains instead of letting the system just trade it all the way, you know, into a losing day. So, right. So there you go. There's definitely something that you really want to, you know, invest in if you're making your own bot there, some kind of watermark system. And then the next thing, this should be pretty obvious, but, you know, if you're trading oil, for example, that you might want some kind of scheduling system so that your system turns off during volatile days. So for example, let's see, I'm just going to use the RTH hours here. So if you're trading oil, right, I think the oil inventory report comes out on Wednesday mornings there, right? So you might want to basically block out, that hour of time before the oil inventory report comes out, or if you're trading any other kind of commodity, right? Other futures commodities, like corn, wheat, and pork bellies. I think those all have basically government reports that come out. So so you probably don't want to trade during those really volatile times when certain reports come out. So another thing to consider there. Oh, right. So there you go. So that's kind of the basics there. Of setting up the order management half of a bot there. So this is part 2. So with that, guys, yeah.
Can I just interrupt real quick? There's a question I think I just want to address real quickly. Tech Trader just asked, like, if this could be tradable on the E-mini futures, if the system is tradable on different instruments. Really, I think is what he's trying to ask. And I'll just say, like, so we're just demonstrating this on the ES, but you can use any instrument that the NinjaTrader platform supports. So it's not tied to any particular instrument. So you can build a bot and you can actually trade it on multiple instruments if you'd like.
Yeah. So with NinjaTrader, we're running on the NinjaTrader platform. So with NinjaTrader, whatever chart or whatever instrument you set your chart to, that's what Blackboard will trade, or any strategy. If you're writing your own custom strategy, right? Obviously, your strategy is going to be trading whatever instrument you set the chart to, right? So that's how things work with NinjaTrader, and I'm pretty certain that's pretty much all charting platforms are all kind of similar in nature, where whatever instrument you set the chart to, that's what your strategy is going to trade on there. So.
And I'll just add to, SG Johnson was asking if this is for TradeStation or NinjaTrader. It's a NinjaTrader only technology at this point. But you also asked if we could use signals from proprietary or closed signals, closed sourced indicators, like maybe third-party indicators. Like a really good example would be stuff that you download, say, on Futures.io. So absolutely, you can actually use and just take the signal straight out of this indicator, and you can select any indicator that's installed in your system. And so that does include indicators that maybe you've downloaded on the internet, not just the ones that came with NinjaTrader. And yes, we do support multiple time frames as well, and that's actually in the Bloodhound component.
And of course, the devil's in the details. So the indicator obviously has to be coded correctly to work in a system. So not everything out there is written correctly to work in a system. You can take shortcuts. Programmers can take shortcuts so that indicators work fine on a chart, but they won't work in a system. So that's really the only caveat, is that the indicator was coded using NinjaTrader's best practices so that it works correctly in a system. So as well. Yeah. All right. So I think everybody's kind of excited and ready to see some action here.
Yeah, we got somebody asking if you can test it. So let's go ahead and do that.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Yeah. So so I've got the playback connection here, so we can actually see some moving parts here. Right. So yeah. So I have this little message here telling me I need to reload the chart. So that way we can get Bloodhound loaded on the chart here. So let's reload the chart. There. Get that up and going. There, let's go forward. There we go. And let's select our entry signals here. There we go. And so the ADX here is way above 25. So obviously there was no signals. And it's just now, to save us some time, I already had my playback scooted forward, to the morning when the ADX starts going below 25. So we'll start seeing some signals here. Let's see if we scroll back. Yeah, so if you scroll back, there we go. There were some signals pre-market there. So, all right. So let me skip forward here a little bit, speed this up, and I'll try not to go too fast. There we go. Let's slow that down. So there we go. There's our entry order, right? Placed on the top of the Bollinger Band. So that's a sell. We can see it's a sell. There you go. Price picked it up. There's our 10-tick stop loss. And there's our profit target sitting there, right, on the midline there. And so as the midline moves up, our profit target will follow it up as well. So, and let's see here. I think it's going to take a couple of bars. So let's fast forward this just a little bit. Don't want to go too fast. There. We'll stretch this out. There we go. So there we go. That expanded everything a little bit. Right. So we can see the ADX rate is below 25 and sloping down. All right. That's exactly what the system's looking for. Is, you know, if you play around with this, yeah, there we go. Oh, and you know what? Look at that. That profit target did not move up. So yeah, let me pause it just for a moment. I probably got a little distracted here when I was setting this up. So, oh yeah, my mistake. So I forgot to set the repeat here so that the profit target will keep repeating that trailing roll. So there we go. Yeah, I did overlook something. So, all right. So there we go. Let's get going here. All right, we'll play this forward. And so here we go. We can see that entry order disappeared because price didn't quite touch it and fill it. And as a couple of bars went by, remember earlier I said we should probably cancel that entry order because price took off without it, right? So you don't want to have an entry order sitting around out there when the trade is basically over with. So that entry order just got canceled. And so now, let's see, the ADX is still sloping down. And here we go. So the band's just contracted again. So we're probably going to get, there we go. Yeah, so we just got another signal there. And yeah, so as we can see, as you can probably figure out, right, this system is doing a lot of scalping, right? So with the bands contracted, you know, the ADX sloping down and below 25, right, the bands are going to be contracted. So this is definitely taking a lot of scalping trades, you know, just to kind of put a description, you know, to the type of system here. And let's see, our ADX is starting to slope up now. So I think it's going to be a little time before that ADX slopes down. And yeah, here we go. So the ADX looks like it's rolling over. So let me speed this up a little bit more. No, ADX is sloping back up again. Let's speed this up a little bit more. I don't want to go too fast, otherwise we won't see anything here. Yeah, that ADX is still going up a little bit. Oh, here we go. So the bands are contracting. So there we go. There's a signal. And we'll just slow this down a little bit. So, and I'm not sure if we have another trade here where that Bollinger Band is going to trail. And there we go. Now, so just another quick, simple trade there. Let's speed this up again. All right, so now we can see the ADX is really rising quickly. Oh, and there was another signal right there. Well, that was quick. And again, just, you know, look what looks like another scalping trade here with the bands really tight together, consolidated. And there we go. Another easy profit target. And all right, let's speed this up again. And I think we'll just probably play, yeah, watch one more of these trades here. And there we go. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I think at this point, yeah, I think this is it now for the morning. I think the market starts trending, if I'm correct. Let's see, we're actually, maybe we have one more trade here going. Let's take a. There we go. There's I think that's the last one. So there, I'll play that at 4x. Right. So, yeah, really, there you go. You know, setting up the order management is part 2. You know, along with various profit and loss. You know, statistical cutoff points. You know, that you can integrate and stuff like that too. So, let's see. We got 15 minutes left thereabouts. So with that, guys, let me turn it back over to Jeremy, and he's got some other resources here for you, and then we'll try and get questions answered.
All right, thanks, Zach. That's pretty cool. Hey, I mean, we just basically saw the two of us build a bot. I mean, not that it takes 2 people, but the two of us built a fully automated trading bot in a couple minutes without coding, and that's really neat to see your bot in action when it's just like trading away and churning out profit in this case. And don't get me wrong, it's not always going to be like that, because and that's actually the beauty of building these bots is once you've built it, you can actually backtest it. You can actually run it through like a market analyzer, or a market replay like this, and you can actually see it, and then you can go back to the drawing board and iterate and make changes to it really quickly. And you can see how very, very quickly you can actually develop a pretty good system, and sort of alleviate the stresses of actually trading it for real. So I'm just going to steal this screen back here. All right. And bear with me for a second. Okay. Let me just make sure, just before kind of continue, I've got a handle on any of the current questions. Adam asked if you can actually run this on different instruments at the same time, and the answer is yes. You can certainly run it on multiple instruments simultaneously. And another user asked if the charts need to be open while you're trading. They do not need to be open. However, Zach, do you know anybody that actually does run them just kind of blindly like that?
No, I don't think anybody really kind of trusts, their strategy just to run, without seeing any kind of visual element, because that basically kind of takes your system and turns it into a black box, right? If you can't see anything running. So I don't think I've ever heard of anybody running it without a chart, but NinjaTrader does allow you to run a strategy without using a chart. You can just run it in what NinjaTrader calls the control center, and it'll just run, and you won't see anything happening. So that is possible, so if you trust your system 100%, then that is possible. So I would say, me personally, I'd be too scared to do that. I would want to see what's going on in the chart, just to make sure that everything's running correctly, because you got to remember, this is software. So when it comes to software, you should always, there always should be a human overlooking the software, no matter what there. So
yeah, just like you wouldn't like a pilot, even though you can fly the plane, or the plane can fly itself, the pilot still needs to be there sitting at the cockpit, observing the systems and making sure nothing's failing and that kind of thing, or doing something substantially out of the mission parameters, or what do you want to call it, is happening.
Yeah, it's like those self-driving cars that Elon Musk is trying to create. Who's going to be the first person to do that, right? It's probably going to take a couple of generations before anybody truly trusts the software in a self-driving car. Otherwise people are probably going to want to be in control for a couple of generations, right? So yeah.
I don't know, Zach. I've seen some videos of people falling asleep at the wheels at the Teslas. I mean,
sure,
it does happen.
Yeah, that's easy to do.
Not sure if it's smart, but people do it. So I guess the answer to your question is it is possible, yes, if that's the way you'd like to do it. We've got a couple of people, actually by coincidence, 2 Daves, a David and a Dave, both kind of asking about backtesting it. Certainly if you got it in a bot format, you can backtest it. So maybe just after this you can show a quick back test there, 5 days or something like that. It's a simple matter of just right-clicking the chart in NinjaTrader and actually just running. I don't remember the name of the command. Zach, is it backtest? I think it is to analyze historical data or something to that effect. I'm sorry, I don't remember offhand, but
Backtest mode? Are you talking about?
Yeah, addictive backtest.
Enable backtest mode. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. David K is asking if you can do this on stocks. Absolutely. It's just any instrument that the NinjaTrader platform supports, including stocks.
Yeah, whatever you can trade it on, whatever instrument you can trade it on is dependent upon NinjaTrader, not our not the Blackboard software. So yeah, whatever instrument you can put on a chart, that's all an indicator cares about. It's just putting an indicator on the chart. So yeah, if you can put a stock instrument on a chart, then it can be traded.
Just a little further to that, someone is asking about the optimizations. That's still on the drawing board in terms of full support. If you kind of imagine, there's a lot of buttons and possible inputs to Blackboard, and so the challenge is not so much running the optimization itself, but actually controlling or at least communicating to the user which dials are allowed to sort of range to be part of the optimization. So we just haven't we haven't built the UI side of that, but that's certainly on the drawing board.
Jeremy, I grab the screen again while you're answering questions, just so people have something to look at. So
yeah, okay.
Yeah, just kind of speaking back to the optimization, the problem is NinjaTrader doesn't have any way to integrate into all of these various, settings. NinjaTrader's optimization is locked to their old-fashioned property grid, right? So if you want to run the optimizer, whoever's asking that is probably very familiar with the optimizer. And as you know, let me select the Bollinger Band, right? The optimizer is designed to have all the properties, exposed to the optimizer and the property grid. And so as you can see, with Blackbird and Bloodhound, that really all those settings are dynamic, right? Everything changes on the fly. So the optimizer is not able to dynamically change on the fly, like this menu system can, so unfortunately, that is, something that Jeremy's working on to see if we can overcome NinjaTrader's limitation with the property grid. So, and then everything would be optimizable at that point. Yeah, so good question there.
Yeah, okay, so we have a couple questions related to Black Friday. At the end, I'll send you guys a quick link regarding what we're doing there, but someone is asking if 1,000 trades have been done on the system. So I think Tech Trader, you might have came in a little late, but essentially, like what we showed, it was not a trade system per se, but a piece of software and how to configure it to trade or to describe or trade just an arbitrary system, right? So we just picked one out of the air. We found one on the internet, and we decided to implement and show you how, if you were to build this ADX Bollinger Band system, if that's what you wanted to trade, how would you articulate it in our software so that you could actually create a bot out of it. Now, by no means are you stuck with this ADX Bollinger Band system. You can create any arbitrary type of system you'd like. And in fact, that leads me into my next kind of topic, which is I'm going to talk about a little bit of some trade system inspirations, right? Or where you can find inspiration for different trade systems. So again, the software that we showed you, and I think just to clarify, just so there's no misunderstanding, the best way to think of it is like, if you guys are familiar with Adobe Photoshop, right? The really famous photo editing software, right? Think of our software, it's kind of like that. In terms of the software doesn't just create the artwork or image for you. You as the artist create the actual image. You just use the paint brushes and the filters on the software as tools to create your image, just like a kind of an empty canvas. Similarly, our software is like a canvas, right? And it gives you these paint brushes and these tools so you can build and describe into it your own trade system. So you're kind of the artist here, right? You would decide what your trade system would be, and then you simply articulate it to our software, and voila, you can create a bot out of it, just like you saw. So where can you get some of these trade system ideas? Like, this is probably where the realm where you guys are most familiar with, and you guys, I'm sure you spend a lot of time searching the forums, coming with trading ideas. Here are a couple suggestions if you're just starting out and you need some inspiration for a trade system. Futures.io, obviously, it's one of the best resources on the internet when it comes to a community that has great trading ideas in general. And it just so happens it has a forum section in there called the Elite Automated Ninja Trader Trading. That's a little section where some of our users like to frequent. But beyond that, there's a lot of sections in there with people presenting all sorts of great little trade snippets and trade system ideas. FX Trading Revolution was another pretty good site with a ton of system trading ideas. That's actually the one we stole an idea. We stole that ADX Bollinger Band system from that site and implemented it. Stocks and Commodities Magazine is also a tremendous resource. They've been around forever, I think since the 90s, and coincidentally the ones that registered the URL traders.com, so that just tells you how old they are. Geez, that URL must be worth like an incredible amount of money. I'm not even sure. Traders Laboratory is another kind of cool resource. That's another forum site, and there's a bunch of them out there. That just happens to be the one that Zach and I actually met like 12 years ago online. Not to insinuate.
You make it sound like a dating site for traders.
Right.
Swipe
right on
like
Zach.
trading
So,
ideas. Swipe left
and
if you know.
and SharkIndicators was born.
Yeah. So, all right, yeah. So there's a bunch of other resources there, for various trading ideas for those who are, interested in setting up a bot. And I'd like to just throw this out for Terry. It would be a lot of fun if, and maybe correct me if I'm wrong, if Big Mike would bring back Battle of the Bots again. I always found that just fun to watch. So that was a fun little challenge there.
Yeah, I'll just say if you go on the forum and you can get enough people to post about it and talk about it, then maybe if there's enough interest, we can see about getting it started
bring
again.
it back.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, 'cause you guys ran that like 5 years ago, I think, right? Was the last time you did it or something?
It has been a while, yes.
Yeah, 2015 was the last year. Yeah, I've seen some activity, but that was fun to watch though back in the day. So yeah. All right. Well, there's still a bunch of other questions. Terry, how much time do we have left to answer? Try and get through some of these other.
Probably another 10-15 minutes, easy. Yeah.
Okay, we can whip through questions here.
Maybe I'll just whip through this slide real quick, and then David's still asking if we could just see the how to do a back test real quick. And
sure.
Okay. All right. Let's go with. Sorry, I'm just looking at the questions to make sure I'm not missing anything other than that. But yeah, I just want to sort of impress upon when we our software does come with a bunch of free learning resources, and this actually is applicable to customers and non-customers as well. We got hundreds of hours of videos and online documentation, live emails or live workshops that actually Zach runs every week. And again, that's a free resource, a learning resource for anybody that wants to join, whether you're a customer or not. We have a bunch of partners as well that use our technology to trade their own trade system, and they use it in various ways. So a lot of them do actually teach their own trading methodology using our software, or some of them have actually developed custom indicators that plug into our software. And then in a lot of cases, you can take those if you want and actually automate aspects of your trading, including, all the way to a full-blown bot if you want. And if you really need it, we also do one-on-one training. It's a kind of a white glove approach. You can certainly find that and on our website, which I'm just going to link here, and I'll leave that up there. And then just before I just pass it back to you guys, the big question I think I've got a ton of users asking is, let's see if I can send this to everybody here, the entire audience. Okay, so I'm just going to set a quick link. We have a whole bunch of people asking, what are we doing for Black Friday? I can't reveal that quite yet, but what I can do is I can say that if you are a elite member of Futures.io, you will get access to our Black Friday deals on November 1st. So you'll have a lot of time. You can actually get started in a couple days, literally.
Yeah, Jeremy, did Big Mike work something out?
Yeah, actually, I would say you guys really thank him because he approached us and he said, look, you guys want to do something for a special deal for the elite members, I'll announce it for you guys. And so that's the reason why we're doing this. And so if you kind of want to be alerted to when that's going to happen, just put a little link in the chat box there. And it basically captures your email, and we'll just email you when those deals are available. But you have to be a Futures.io elite member for that to happen. And if you haven't joined up as an elite Futures.io elite member, highly recommend doing that because there's a ton of great value. Not only the content side of it on the Futures.io site itself, but you get deals from vendors like us. And in this case, you'll get access to the Black Friday deals early.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, R3. Instead of just typing your email in there, just actually click that link. I'm not sure. Can you guys see that link that I sent you? I just put in the chat there. But just go ahead and click that link, and then should open up a web page where you can just enter your email address there if you want. There you go. Okay. Okay. Let me pass that back to Zach.
All right. Yeah. Let's answer the backtesting question.
Yeah. There we go. Let's do that.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Hey Buzz, I'm terribly sorry. We don't actually offer this. Our software doesn't work on Sierra charts at the moment. It's just NinjaTrader.
Yeah, unfortunately, NinjaTrader is the only one extensible enough, to run something like Bloodhound or Blackbird. So the other platforms have a really narrow, programming language, unfortunately. All right, backtesting. So I have this strategy window open here, as you can see. Right, and so with Blackbird, we have the backtest mode, so that needs to be turned on. Right, this should be self-evident there. So it is off by default because if you're not backtesting, NinjaTrader just slows the whole startup process down because NinjaTrader is calculating backtesting, so it slows your strategy starting up. So it's off, so that way the strategy will start up faster. But of course, if you want to backtest, make sure that's enabled. There we go. All right, I have 10 days of data on my chart here, so just to kind of speed things up, I don't want to take a lot of time doing this. And then also to note, I did disconnect my playback, and I disconnected up my regular data feed there. So, all right, and so now that everything's loaded up, let's see if I have some strategy performance reports here. So let's go to historical, and let's see. Of course, there we go. So that's just the initial backtest without any kind of scrutinizing the data. I didn't put any kind of limitations on this, right? I just created a quick profit target and stop loss and let it run 24/7. So yeah, so I wouldn't expect any system to run profitably without some kind of filters and some kind of limitations to it. So, but anyways, there you go. So that's how you backtest in NinjaTrader. All right, just run your strategy on the chart and then pull up the strategy performance, and NinjaTrader calculates, it calculates all the trades, right, and creates the performance report there. So.
Yeah, in terms of David's asking how accurate the strategy backtest is, so that's really kind of a nuance that's related more to the NinjaTrader platform in terms of how it calculates the fills, in terms of your entries as well as your exits. Of course, it's imperfect with the historical data, because the way NinjaTrader calculates fills, it uses some sort of algorithm. It's not basing it off tick data necessarily, tick by tick. There are some ways, or there's some more accurate ways to get around that. One of which is, of course, using the market replay. The other is actually fiddling with the settings in NinjaTrader to sort of to change that. I think there's some, if I'm not mistaken, Zach, I can't remember. There might be some options that you can actually.
Yeah, there are some options that Ninja provides to kind of account for, the subtle inaccuracies, when back testing on static bars, right? I think there's only one or two platforms out there that can truly give you accurate backtest results based on bid and ask data. And of course, those platforms are very expensive, because there's a lot more going on under the hood. They're not for the retail trader. So, but all other platforms, they're just going to use bar prices to try and simulate back testing results here. So let's see here. Yeah, I guess I got to turn this off again. So in the historical fill processing, slippage. So here's kind of the main thing that NinjaTrader and other platforms use as well, is the slippage, right? So you can, put in a tick or two of slippage to help account for the subtle inaccuracies within backtesting. So, but NinjaTrader also has this fill order resolution. So they have a high and a standard. So I don't recall off the top of my head what high does, but NinjaTrader has documentation on this to kind of help you understand what this fill order resolution will do for you when you're back testing. So and then of course,
sorry to interrupt.
Another big thing is a fill on a limit order touch. So like, for example, here's another thing that is really almost impossible to account for when you're back testing. And I lost the data. All right, I'll pull the data back up. So Jeremy, you go ahead and let me get the data pulled.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment. So David asked, is market replay a better way to backtest? Well, it basically depends on which trade-off you're willing to take, right? Because you'd use market replay, obviously it's going to take a lot longer. And if you're just basically rapidly testing like your system and changes and iterating really quickly, it's going to slow your progress down quite a lot. So perhaps if in that case, you might want to use the approximation instead, because you're just simply not going to have as much progress. The other thing I would mention is anytime you're doing some kind of really tight trades, like scalping type systems, accuracy is going to become increasingly more important. But if your trade system happens to be more of the the type where you have much larger and longer times that you're in the market, so trending type systems or what have you, then that kind of tick level accuracy becomes less important. And so you might find that in those cases, it's just better to be more efficient using the approximations of NinjaTrader's backtesting engine. And then perhaps switch over to a market replay style backtesting once you've settled on a system that you're pretty confident in. You could incorporate both, because they both have pros and cons to it.
Yeah. So simply put, when you're initially working out a system, you might want to just do simple historical because it's really faster. And then once you've kind of refined the system and you really want to test it more tightly, then that's when you might want to go to the playback connection, which will give you, more accurate results, but as Jeremy said, it's a lot more time consuming using the playback connection, right? So it's time and inaccuracy versus a lot of time with more accuracy, So like here's an example, right? So we can see I've got the backtest results on here now, right? So we can see some of these, the order text, but we can also see, right, there's a long signal and a short signal, but there's no trade, so it could have been that, in a live market, the market might have come down and touched that limit order and filled it. Obviously it depends on how much volume was, printed at that price where the entry order was sitting, but NinjaTrader didn't consider it filled. So there's subtle things like that when you're doing historical backtesting, and this is probably for all trading platforms, that if, when you're backtesting on static bars, bid and ask data is not taken into consideration. It's just, too time consuming. But on the playback connection, so if I did go back to my playback connection, there is a chance that maybe that long order would have gotten filled and that short order might have gotten filled. But as you can see, it did not get considered as filled with the basic backtesting here. So,
All right, I'll address Mailmon's question next. He was asking if independent Blackboard strategies can talk to each other in order to look for correlations, or is it better to build the correlation logic into one strategy? And I would say it's just better to build it into one strategy. Blackboards can talk to each other, but that's more on the basis of money management principles, not on not on like a signal generation capacity, if you will. And so you can actually build into one Bloodhound signal the ability to look at different timeframes and different instruments as well. So you can actually incorporate all that logic into a signal if you'd like, and that's probably the best way to incorporate, and that's pretty common.
So, right. So for you programmers out there, NinjaTrader doesn't allow strategies to communicate with each other, right? It runs each strategy kind of like in its own virtual, environment, so they can't communicate with each other. So, Jeremy did kind of create a roundabout way that has loose communication, but it is very like you said, it is very loose communication. It definitely has a lot of limitations there. So yeah, I know a lot of you guys are probably thinking about like taking the combine, the Top Step combine or the other companies that are out there, where you're limited to the number of orders that you can have going out, and you're limited to the maximum drawdown on the account at any one point. So therefore, if you're running multiple strategies, they all need to communicate with each other, so they're not opening too many positions, so they're not opening too many contracts, so you don't go into a margin call. And yeah, the basic truth is you can't do that with individual strategies. It all has to be incorporated into one humongous strategy if you want to do that. So yeah. All right, so moving on here. Let's see. DG99 is asking, can you create stepped stop losses? So yeah, you can. You can create stepped stop losses. So you can really kind of define almost any kind of stop loss you want there. So with the trailing rules section here, yeah, you can create as many stepping stop losses as you want. I remember one time, I was asked, somebody wanted to be shown how to create, I think they created something like 10 stepping stop losses, you know, for their stop losses. It definitely took a little work to put it together, but it, you know, it was doable. So there you go. All right, let's see what other questions we can whip through here before time runs out.
I think I'm looking through and I think that's it.
Let's see. Well, here's a quick one. The first question, Loan Intelligence is asking, isn't the ADX a strength thing? If it's rising, momentum is getting stronger. Yeah, well, yeah, the ADX is a measure of trending strength. So it's not really momentum, but the ADX tells you how long the trend has been going. Yeah, so the higher the number on the ADX, the longer the trend has been in place. And so they're more likely that the trend is going to come to an end at some point. Yeah, and so the lower the number, the more consolidation, the less volatility you're seeing. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but I'm looking at all these Black Friday questions and I like just realized this year is coming to a close. Like 2020 is almost over. It just seemed like both simultaneously a super long year and a short year at the same time. I don't know, maybe the short part being probably my age, to be honest, more than anything else. But it's like the older you get, the faster time seems to go. Oh, we got a really good question here. Mert MJ is asking if it's possible to pause your trade, pause your bot, if you will.
Yeah, definitely. Right. You know, as we, you know, as I said, you know, you definitely should have, you know, I think the trader should always be there present. You know, I know everybody wants to be able to just flip a switch and go have a coffee and go, you know, hang out with your buddies and just let the computer make money for you. But really, you know, I think that a trader should always be there, you know, to watch whatever, you know, piece of software that they're running, you know, as an auto trader. Yeah, just, you know, to keep an eye on it. But also, this kind of talks about the discretionary human element, you know, where the human is much better at kind of reading price action throughout the day and maybe knowing when to not trade and when it's okay to get into a trade. So yeah, so you just have this big fat, you know, auto trade button here that, you know, if you turn it off, then the auto trader is turned off, you know, and if you turn it back on, there you go. And you even have like a long disable, you know, and or a short disable. So you can say, okay, only take long trades today, you know, which, yeah, like on Monday, all right, obviously on Monday, you would only be taking short trades, right? If you were a trend trader, Monday was a short day only type of day. And Tuesday was pretty much as well, a short day only. So there you go. You got, yeah, full control over the auto trading there. So, and also we also have money, the order monitor here, which never really gets discussed very much, but you basically, it's a little panel here kind of showing you the status of your order here. You know, and there's a break even button here. Then there's a scale in button here as well. You can turn off the auto trailing. So, you know, so if you manually take control of your stop loss and move your stop loss manually, like for example, let's see here, let's go short and see if we can get this filled. Let's see, is the market, I'm not sure if there's even market data coming in right now. Yeah, apparently not. Yeah, I guess the market data is off. But yeah, so if you had a, you know, profit target and a stop loss there, you know, you can manually move your stop loss, you know, and that'll turn off the auto trailing. And then when you're ready for your stop loss trailing to kick back in, you can just turn it back on. You know, you could move your stop loss to break even, you know, discretionarily at any point. So yeah, there you go. A few, you know, common, you know, controls over your orders there.
Actually, Mert was wondering if it could be done manually, and he was actually in particular asking if it's possible to pause it when it's running sideways in a range. And so, yeah, you could bake that in essentially to your signal generator or your signal engine. If you remember when I was building it in Bloodhound, it would be a simple matter of adding say an indicator, perhaps the ATR, and if it drops or hits a certain threshold, like that shows that it's in a sideways range, you could just plug that in as one of your conditions to not have that, and then therefore eliminate all signals or basically eliminate the possibility that it would trade in that so-called sideways range. So it's really like my point is you can sort of bake in any kind of logic that you'd like into your signal.
All right, I'm just trying to scan through these questions here, see if there's
there was one about someone asked, I think is N1144 asked if the exit trade is at the end of the bar. Yeah. I assume he means the signal, because like a stop loss is a stop loss. Whenever it gets filled is whenever it gets filled. It obviously doesn't have to be at the end of a bar, but
right. Yeah, I guess that question really needs to be put into context. So, like for example, some end of bar situations would be, as I demonstrated for the entry order, if the entry order doesn't get filled, then let's cancel it after 2 bars. And so this would be when the bar closes, for sure, right? When the bar closes. But obviously stop losses, they get filled in real time. Even when you're back testing, profit targets get filled in the middle of the bar, and stop losses, get filled wherever they're at in the middle of the bar.
Yeah, actually, even in that selection window, you didn't have to just choose bars. You could actually choose a time, like seconds, cancel after a couple seconds, or even just ticks of movement. So you have and actually a little known feature, if you hit the advanced button down there, you can actually arbitrarily choose your criteria. So you can add things like, if you that drop down, you can add a Bloodhound signal, like maybe another order has filled or canceled. You can do it on an indicator value hitting a certain amount. A price interacting with an indicator in a certain way, the amount of profit or loss that you've taken, you can actually use those as arbitrary triggers to cancel an order. So you have a lot of flexibility there.
Right. Yeah. So again, that question really kind of requires the details there. So like Jeremy said, I ran this on a 1-minute chart. So if I wanted to, I could cancel the order halfway through the second bar, right? I could say 90 seconds. So that's a bar and a half, and then cancel the order if it doesn't get filled within 90 seconds. And of course, this would work live or with the playback connection, but it's not going to work doing historical back testing, because like I said, NinjaTrader back tests on static historical bars. All right, it's not doing it's not simulating a live environment when you're doing back testing, right? So something like this, 90 seconds, would have to wait for the bar to close before it gets canceled. So in theory, it would be possible for your entry order to get filled, after the 90 seconds if you're doing back testing. So you just kind of have to know, the NinjaTrader platform to know its limitations, what it can and what it can't do when you're back testing and running strategies, right? So so anyways, all right, that was a good detailed question there. So
okay, I think Terry's just messaged me, said we're close to the end time here, so I think that's a pretty good place to wrap it up, because I can't tell if there's any more questions in here. I've gone through them all, and I think we've got them. But certainly, if you've got any more, just feel free to email us. I'll just pop our URL back on the screen so you can see it. But You can either get us at support@sharkindicators.com if you got a pretty technical question, or sales@sharkindicators.com if you got sort of a more buying related question. Quick question that came in there. When would you use scheduling option on Blackboard settings? You could use that basically to, when you would use it is if you're basically running the full automated bot. If you're intending to use Blackboard as a fully automated trading system, that's when you would use it, and you can actually prevent trades to go on and actually even exit trades after certain time periods, so that you're not hitting market boundaries and that sort of thing.
Yeah, the example I used, the example I used here at the beginning was, if you were trading oil, you could block out this 1 hour or even less, you could block out just maybe 15 minutes when the oil inventory report comes out. So you definitely have a lot of granularity in here, so I could say, run this until 10:15. Like that. So from 9 to 10:15, and then there's a 45-minute window in there. And if I change the resolution, there we go. Yeah, so there's a change in the resolution. Yeah, move that down. And so we basically have this.
I think I've got the screen there, Zach. Do I?
What's that? Oh, sorry. Yeah, you do still have the screen.
Yeah. All right, get back to you. But I think we got like 2 or 3 more minutes before we're gonna get kicked off.
Right.
So
I think we'll just show this real quick, and that'll be it. Yeah. Yeah. So there we go. Back to this scheduler there. Yeah. So with the scheduler, let me move that up. There we go. So example I used was, if you're trading oil, you might want to block out, whatever, 30 minutes, 15 minutes, an hour, 45 minutes, whatever you want it to be, when the oil inventory report comes out. If you're trading other commodities, when the government reports come out, you might want to block out, those things, or, maybe if you're trading a stock, maybe you notice that stock is just super volatile on Monday morning when the markets open back up. So you might want to just skip Monday morning trading, wait till the afternoon when things kind of get a little less hectic, or obviously the opposite. Maybe you want to block out Monday afternoon and not trade Monday afternoon. Here, let me make this a little shorter there. So yeah, you can take full control, up to 1 minute resolution here. Actually seconds. Yeah, that's right. It goes up to seconds. So you can, set a start time and an end time, based on going to a second resolution there. So whatever you kind of need. Yep. So those are some examples of why you might want to block out various various days in the week there.
Okay, I think I'll wrap it up. Terry, do you need to wrap up at the end there, or are you okay if we say the last goodbye?
No, thank you for the webinar, the information, and for spending some time with us this evening.
All right, thanks a lot, guys. I just want to add real quick, we have a lot of really nice people in the chat saying thank you, and I just want to say that, that it's kind of your loyalty and support that kind of keeps us in the game and developing these really cool tools and stuff like that. It's really the thing that gets us up in the morning, and we're really passionate about building tools to service you guys as traders and try to give you as much power as you possibly can to be as successful as you can. So yeah, thanks for listening to us, and thanks again, Futures.io, for hosting us.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for hanging in there.